and everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. We are so delighted to welcome Stephen the Medium, whose life journey is both unique and inspiring. Before becoming known for his work as a medium, Stephen enjoyed a successful career as a lawyer, a professional grounded in logic, evidence, and careful analysis. Yet life sometimes leads us down unexpected paths. Isn't that the truth? This afternoon, Stephen will share the remarkable story of how he transitioned from legal world to embracing his abilities as a medium. He will discuss the experiences that challenge his understanding of reality, the personal discoveries that shaped his journey, and how he came to accept the development of these gifts. Whether you're curious about mediumship, interested in stories of personal transformation, or simply looking to hear an engaging, thought-provoking presentation, we are pleased you could join us. Please join me in welcoming Stephen the Medium, and we're so glad to.
I wanted her to just keep going on. That sounds great. So thank you guys. I know it's a Saturday afternoon. I am so honored that there's so many people here that I get to share my story with. I'm here with Felix, who's passing the ticket out. I always make him work. I also say that he's my bodyguard. He's really my husband. And we just passed 33 years of being together. I'm really the help. So I'm gonna start off just quickly with a little story. After I found out that I could see and speak and hear dead people, I came into our kitchen. We were outside doing yard work in the house before we moved to the Cape. And I went to get some water and Felix was still outside. We're taking a lot of the grass from the back to the front with bags and whatnot. And I remember it was the beginning part of me understanding what mediumships were all about and like the spirit world. And I remember I heard in my head, go to the sliding glass door. And I thought, I didn't know what that meant. So I went to our sliding glass door that overlooked the whole backyard. And Felix is way in the back of the yard and he's got this big bag of leaves that he's gonna have to go through the yard and go around the driveway to the front of the house. And as he's coming, he's way back there, but he has to do a direct line, like he's gonna go this way and all the way down is the sliding glass door. There I am, but I'm in the house. So as he's walking, I knew I needed to do this and I didn't know why. I just stood at the glass window and as he's getting closer, I kept doing this, like getting his attention. And then I really kept doing this. He's getting closer and closer. And I know at some point, because he's outside and I'm inside, he's gonna take a right and go out the gate to go up the driveway. And I am like, and then the closer he gets, and I know before he turns, I am like almost doing a dance. I'm jumping up and down. I'm trying to get his attention, not realizing why I'm doing it. I just needed to do it. And then he doesn't see me. He turns and he goes through the gate and goes out to the driveway. And I was very emotional and I didn't understand why. Like, this was such a simple, crazy thing to do. And then I heard in my head, someone who's dead in spirit say, that's what we do every single day to every single person in the physical world. We're in front of you. We're doing this. We're trying to get your attention. But because everybody is in this world, and we all do it, right? And all of that, we miss the signs. And it was something that stuck with me so heavily because I thought, oh my God, so I get to see everybody. When I look at everybody, I see everybody's loved ones behind them. Most people don't. Just know I bring that up to let you know that. And some of you, maybe a lot of you, know that your loved ones are still here and that they give you signs, whatever those signs may be. And maybe some of you don't. And maybe some of you, like when I do big groups, when I'm done, people inevitably come up to me and say, Stephen, how do I see signs? How do I get a sign from my mother? I miss her dearly. How do I get my father? My son died. How do I get a sign from him? So it's a big question I get. So I only bring that scenario up just for everyone to know that that's what happens every day. When each one of you get up in the morning, I guarantee you someone was on the side of your bed, your son, your mother, your grandmother, your dog, your cat. And no comments about my Rhode Island accent. When you hear me say, oh, it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse. But in any case, you're gonna have your loved ones there. So let me just back up for a accounting, I'm working, Felix is working, and then I said to him a couple of years after we met, I want to go to law school. So I did, and I graduated, took the bar, and I started my own practice. For almost 20 years, I represented children. I was in juvenile court in Brockton, which kept me very busy, and I loved it. I loved the judges, the clerks, the court officers. I loved everything about that job. And everything was going well. Felix then was doing his job in healthcare. Then he started his own business. He's an executive coach and amazing at what he does. Everything is normal. Two guys having a life, everything's normal. I had absolutely no signs, no feelings, no, I may be a little connected than most people. Nada, nothing, like absolutely nothing. My dad died when I was 8 years old. He committed suicide. He took his life, and I was the youngest. And at 8 years old, it transformed me. That's why I ultimately wrote my book, The Suicide Gift. But in any case, it transformed who I was. But even with that said, I mean, I get maybe over the many years, I got something like a couple of signs that I knew it was my dad, but they weren't overwhelming. They weren't like, I'm special, I've got a gift, I'm someone that's unlike the most of the population. So in 2010, now we're just living our lives just like everyone here is. 2010, I booked for me, Felix, to go to a medium that's in Massachusetts, a very well-known, respected medium. Now, 2010 was a little bit different than 2026. Now there's mediums everywhere, right? In 2010, that wasn't the case. This is really sped up in the past couple of years. So Felix and I tell Felix Thursday night we're going to see a medium, and as I always say, whatever I say to him, he just says, all right, he just does it, right? It's like he really is the greatest guy. So we go, the venue is about 100 people, and we get there, and it was like in four squares of where people were sitting, and in the middle of the room is where the medium was. So she could turn all around, and there was rows of people. So we were right, we were two are like boom and boom. I was there, and Felix was there, and there was the groups behind us. So she does her spiel and says how this is going to work, just like I do when I do readings. And she's like, all right, I'm ready. One of the things she said to the whole group was, when I walk up to you, I'm gonna ask you your name, and I'm gonna ask you to stand up. So everyone's all excited about it. So she stops, she comes walking out. Now Felix is there with me. She walks up just like this again. You two are on the spot here, and stares at me, and it was like, even though it felt like it was a half hour, it was probably like 10 seconds. And she's like staring at me like I'm staring at you. And I'm so excited because the whole drive I'm thinking for my dad, please come through. Please come through. I haven't seen you since I'm 8 years old, and I still get choked up thinking about it. But in my head, I'm thinking, did she say she was gonna ask your name and have you stand up? And I'm still sitting, and she's staring at me like this. And finally, which again, it felt like it was way longer than it probably was, she does this to me. You're a psychic and you don't know. And she walked away and never came back to me. Did not come back to me. This was February 2010. She walked away. I'm sitting there like that face. I'm sitting there. And Felix is there. So maybe a couple of minutes in, Felix like does this and says, did you hear what she said? She said, you're a psychic. And honestly, I looked at him and said, well, she's psycho. Because I'm excited. And I'm like, no, she must have been talking about her. Like she was picking up my energy, but it was really her because I am not a psychic, not at all. And I told Felix, and I tell people when I do tell this story that that's when the light switch went on. Once she told me, I didn't know that. Everybody that's dead, that's connected to me and not connected to me said, he knows now. Let's tell him, let's go to him. So the next couple of years were really difficult for me. I've always had anxiety ever since my dad, took his life. The anxiety got worse and worse. I mean, there were days that we were driving in the car and he's driving, and I'd say to him, Felix, I think you gotta pull over because I gotta get out of the car. He was like, well, what's wrong? Why? I'm like, I don't know. I have these forces of energy from like my toes up to my head and would come, it was like a wave of coming up and down, up and down. It was energy, it was dead people all around me doing this. It's the best way to describe it. I want you to know it's us. Like you gotta get better at this. And it was too much for me because honestly, I didn't know even what a medium was. I knew nothing about that whole spirit world. So couple of years in, Helix, so I was going through, and mind you, I'm still working as an attorney. Helix finds this woman out in Arizona who is an incredible psychic, an incredible medium. Carol, her name is. He finds her, he talks to her and says, "This is what my husband's going through. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm not equipped to help him because it's not physical. I don't know how to help him. He doesn't know how to help himself." So she tells him to buy, or she has to offer like a 16-week self-home study, how to become a certified medium. So Helix gives that to me for Christmas. I think it was 2013, I guess. And I went through it. I opened it up and I didn't know what it was. I opened it up and I don't know, within a couple of weeks, I was done. I went through 16 weeks. And so I reached out to her, I emailed her because the syllabus says when you're done, you have to call her. And she has to go through some things to make sure, you went through everything to become certified. So I called her and I emailed her and she said, you couldn't have went through all 16 weeks. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm done. Like I went through all of it. I was working, I came home, I grabbed it, I couldn't stop. I just kept going into it because I wanted to know what was going on. So I called her, that's the sort of the exam, and honestly, she said to me, "All right, read me." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Read me." Like, read you. She's like, "You finished the 16 week. Like, tell me anything about me. Tell me anything of my loved ones, anything around me in the house." And I saw this maroon lamp, and I said to her, "Well, did you connect with a maroon lamp?" And she was like, "It's sitting next to me." And I started realizing I was tuning in. I was using energy to sort of tune in to all of this. And then it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And my soul was telling me I have to do this. Like every part of me was telling me I have to do the mediumship stuff. Now remember, I love representing kids. I love dealing with the parents and helping these children and getting them back home and fighting DCF and all of that, or helping DCF, either way, right? But my heart and my soul just kept saying, "You got to do this. You got to do this." So, never did a reading, and just tell this story very quickly. I was backing out of the driveway, and I blamed dead people because I didn't wait for the electric garage door to go all the way up before I backed out. And I sort of get to the door, and then the door wouldn't close or wouldn't go. It was like it was a mess, right? No comments. Just saying. In any case, we have to have a guy to come to fix it. This guy is like 7 feet. I mean, he was like, I think with his arms, he could just like do this and just like squish my head. He was gigantic, right? Very nice guy. And he fixed the garage. It was something not bad. It was very simple. And I asked him how much. I was running upstairs to get either my check or debit card. I forget what it was. And as I'm running upstairs, I hear a woman's voice. This is his mother. And I'm thinking, whose mother? And I kept hearing, this is his mother. And I'm like, oh my God, listen, I think in my head, I'm gonna do a first informal reading. Like I want an older person that I can just sit down and hug and have a lot of love, right? I don't want someone who can pick me up and throw me into another town. Like I do not want that, right? But she kept going and going. So I come downstairs, I think it was a check. I give him the check and he's walking out. He's like, "Let me just write out the invoice." So as he's walking, he's sitting in his car. I go up to him, his car window is down, and I said to him, "Listen, I know this is gonna be weird." I said, "But I sometimes can feel and connect with people in spirit." And again, this was the first informal reading I've ever done. And I said, I have a woman here. And she keeps giving me like the A name. And he was like, "No, I don't know anything." But I'm like, "All right, well, like, thank you. I'll just wait for the invoice." So I walked back out he sort of motions to me that the invoice is done. I go, and I was just standing outside. I grab the invoice. I'm like, thank you very much for all the work. And so he's finishing writing up his stuff. I'm going into the garage, and his mother was like, you're not going into the garage, you're going back. That's the strength that I felt from this mom. And I'm like, oh, what am I supposed to say? And I hear Anita, and I'm like, all right, I go back up to him, and that was a big risk, right? I mean, and also because of my anxiety all my life, I was not like the biggest extrovert either. I mean, well, people I knew I was, but not strangers. I go up to him, I'm like, listen, I know you're gonna leave, and I know I already asked you. I said, but you connect to Anita, and I will never forget. He's like, he looked at me and was like, what did you say? And I said, Anita. He said, that's my mother. And I said, your mother's dead. And he was like, she is. And I said, she just wants to tell you how proud she is. And her anniversary's now, something's with the anniversary. And he said, I'm going to the cemetery later. It's been 25 years that she's been dead. And that was the end. He drove off in tears. This monster of a man, this He-Man, is gonna water, like, I was afraid he was gonna get out and wanna hug me. And if you're gonna bring me, like, if you're on site, that was my first informal reading, and from there, I just kept getting this pull to keep doing it and doing it. You know, but you're starting from scratch. I didn't have a website, I didn't know how to do this. So eventually I started having some people come to the house, which was not the best idea. Not at all. Because some of the people, which were very nice, when the reading was done, they didn't leave. And I would just sit at the dining room table, and I had to tell Elix to go upstairs, so like I wasn't getting bothered. He brought all the dogs upstairs and stuff. So then ultimately I got my office, and then I got to a place of starting to do readings, getting much better at it and feeling better at it. And like, I remember I had a group of 3 people. I drove to someone's house, and I said to Elix as I was leaving, how am I gonna do 3 people? I can barely do 1 person. But I went, and it went very well. So it kept building and building and building. And at some point, because as I mentioned, Elix is an executive coach. He's amazing. And I said to him, I have a question for you. I'm like, this isn't moving the way I want it, the mediumship. Everybody I'm doing readings with are so complimentary. So I'm doing it right, but why isn't the business moving? And Elix said to me, because you have 1 foot in the legal world and 1 foot in the mediumship world. You can't do that, because what you're doing is you're telling, as Elix said to me, you're telling your universe, keep the mediumship like confined, because it can't expand because you're still doing the legal work. And of course, we had this talking. I argued with him, as I always do, and then I come around the next day and he's like, yeah, you may be right. But that's a Gemini, right? I just argued. And the attorney did. So we had another conversation, and I'm like, Felix, but as an attorney, financially, it's been amazing, right? I mean, it's good. And I'm like, how am I gonna leave that to do a mediumship, which I love, but I have to also be conscious of finances, like we all do, right, to pay bills and whatnot. He was like, the only way you're gonna know is you gotta make that or take that step, and you can't come, I'll never forget it, from a place of scarcity, right? You can't come from a place of not knowing or wondering or being concerned you're not gonna have enough money, because what you, as Helix said to me, whatever you love, the money's gonna follow, because you love it, it's your passion, it's what you're supposed to do here. And ultimately, I did that, and I have created this business. And at some point, after this was all set, I decided, as this little poster shows, I decided, this came out December of 2023, the suicide gift. And the reason why I put this title, which I know makes no sense, right? We'll put suicide with gift in the same title, because I went through that with my dad. I realized, and I think that is, I love my story, but for you guys, probably so. This is the best part of this, is that I started realizing that how did this happen? Like, how did I go from not knowing anything about my connection to spirit and having a normal life, an attorney life and job, and having a normal life with Helix? How did this happen? And then I started like digging and sort of taking inventory, and then I realized, oh my God. So with help of spirit, I meditate every day. And I can get some downloads and I just get to have communication with spirit and smart people that were here that are now in spirit. And I started thinking, my God, every one of us has a meaning and a gift. Every one of us. We're here because we're supposed to be here. When I look at each one of you, you've all been placed here. Before you came down, I always say we come with a cluster of souls. These little snowballs, they're our souls, and they're all in one little basket, and the basket's released, and then all that cluster is born. So everyone that's in your life, people you're with sitting, whether it's husband, wife, friends, your family at home, your friends at home, they all came in that cluster. They're supposed to be around you. Some people are supposed to stay in your life temporarily, some are supposed to stay in your life for a long time. Every single person is there for a reason, for you to figure out what your gift is, for you to figure out what your meaning is. And what I realized was, oh my God, this has been with me clearly my entire life. It's been in here. How would I not know that? I'm not stupid. Like, how would I not know that? And I was always drawn to magic. We would go to Salem every year. I always felt so good in Salem, and just feeling the energy of just magic and people doing psychics, doing readings and whatnot. There's always like a pull there. And I thought, my dad's death. Oh my God, that's what most of this is that when my dad died, and in the book, I sort of separate the book from the pre-8 to the post-8. So up until 8 years old, I had this beautiful family with my brother and my mother and my dad. Everything was good up until 8 years old. When he took his life at 8 years old, post-8, everything changed. And I say, clearly that was traumatic for me. And some of you have the same trauma, maybe not suicide, but some kind of trauma in your life. Could be your husband died of a heart attack, your dad died of a heart attack, you didn't get to say goodbye, whatever that trauma is. And I always tell people that nobody can define trauma for anybody. Trauma may be something that someone hears someone say and say, that doesn't sound traumatic. But if the person thinks it's traumatic, it's traumatic. They went through that experience. That's what this is all about. And when my dad took his life, the Stephen that I knew up until 8 years old checked out. This was too overwhelming. I left, and I always say a proxy Stephen came in and took over. But the proxy Stephen, the fake Stephen, the ghost Stephen, if you will, didn't know anything about the 8 years. Didn't know how to drive the vehicle of 8 years that Stephen was. And what happened was chaos erupted. In the book, I know I don't look it. People say you look angelic. This was not angelic for many, many years. I mean, in that book, I had to sort of really, as Elix and I was putting the book together, Elix said to me, yeah, you can't put that in. No, you can't put that in. It was a lot. And it was, I wasn't running my life. And I know it sounds weird. You may be saying, what do you mean a proxy? Like, what do you mean you're not running your life? You're in your life, like you're in your body, right? On a spirit level, I just took off it was like a soul swap. I left and again, the proxy, like if you were to give some power of attorney or a healthcare proxy, even temporarily, and they take the power for a moment, that's sort of what happened for many, many years. So in high school, I don't know how I got through, I was expelled, it just went on and on and on. But the point of this is I realized that trauma just pushed my meaning in life, my gift, my spirit so far down, I had no idea it was there. And the fake Stephen, as I mentioned, took over. So I had absolutely no idea that I had this in me. And for decades, many years, I went without knowing until it just so randomly happened that when we went to see that medium, and I say randomly, even though I know there's a reason for everything, right? I was supposed to be there in that room with Elix, and that medium was supposed to see what she saw and tell me, and that's sort of what opened everything up for me. And then it just started getting better and better and better. But that's the point of the suicide gift, is that how I got here was me going through that heartache. That, when we go through trauma and grief like we all do, we don't want to feel it. It's too difficult to feel, right? It's too difficult to go through it, and it's too difficult to ask yourself, did that trauma, whatever you want to describe it as or define it as, did that do something to my journey, my path that I'm supposed to be on? Did that alter it? When I started thinking that and started thinking about my life, and of course, this was after I figured out I was a medium at the beginning stages, then I started thinking, oh my God, I mean, I am so far off my path, I don't even know where I am. And that happens to every one of us. And it's not just also trauma. Felix and I talk about this all the time. It's also about soon as we are born, and soon as we start going into school, and maybe sometimes before school, we start picking up these beliefs that we think are real, that we think they're ours. We adopt these beliefs. Like a little girl I represented. She was 16, and she told me when she was 8 years old, she was walking home from school, and maybe 5 or 6 other girls in her class started yelling at her, "You fatso, fatty, you're so fat, you're so ugly." She's telling me that story as I was opening up, and I was representing her for like a couple of years. I could feel the energy with her. And this is before I knew I was a medium. I could feel what was going on with her. It was like she was right there. That changed her life. Just like my dad committing suicide, the internal structure of me changed, it shifted. It's never going to go back. I experienced something. I can't get that back. But what I can do is I can figure out where I am now. And even though it's going to be changed, I can also put it back on track. And so that girl at her age, talking about years ago happening, that was her trauma. And because of that, she goes back to it like that. When I used to ask her and then started making sense, what do you want to do? Like when you graduate high school? Never had an answer for me. She didn't think she was good enough. All she walked around with is, I'm fat, I'm ugly, my peers in school don't like me, I'm always home alone. All because of that one 2-minute incident of girls that she probably didn't even know, like close to, they were in her class or school. That's what happens. And did she go off her path? Of course she did. That's what happens to us. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be that severe. Like when I share that story, I'm sure all of us in this room can feel that little girl, right? Can just feel like, "God, that's horrible that she had to go through that." So just walking home, she was doing nothing. And she was the most innocent, cutest, nicest little girl. You feel that, right? That energy shift. But it doesn't have to be that dramatic or traumatic. It can be something smaller that just says, as you're walking, this is your path, something little happens and you're like, whoops, and you start walking this way. And there goes that journey or that path. So I always want to sort of throw this out, is that regardless of where you are in this life, regardless of your age, I always say age doesn't matter. It's always a great thing to take an inventory of your life and just feel and see where you are. I always say one of the greatest things to start with is writing down like 3 accomplishments of your life. And once you do that, you automatically start opening up to the present lane. I call it, there's the past, present, and future. When you're in the present lane, that's where you see the signs. That's when you see a butterfly that almost lands on you, and it's your mother's birthday the next day, and you're like, that's my mother. She sends me butterflies. If you're in the past or future lane, that's the butterfly that goes near you, even though you know your mother's anniversary is tomorrow of death or so, and you're like, you get away. That's the difference. It's that quick, it's that easy just to flip the switch and just to be in the present, to know you're getting the signs. That's what this is all about. Being aware is also another huge piece of connecting with spirit. And when Amy reached out to me to do this and asked, this was like 6 months ago, and I'm like, yeah, I would love to do this. We were just in sort of like in conversation about coming here and what this would be like, or what I would want to do. And I said to her, the biggest thing I get from people, I think I mentioned it, is, how do I see signs? How do I see signs? And really, it is just being aware. Listen, if I was to ask everyone to raise their hand, if you have a dedicated sign that you really believe your loved ones in spirit send you, how many people would raise their hand? So I love that, right? So there's this group here that you get it, right? You get it, and you know whether you see a coin or a butterfly or a dragonfly or whatever the case may be, a rose, it doesn't matter. You know it's there. And you know it's there because it really is there. As I mentioned, I always tell people that I wish I could just have all of you for like 3 seconds see through my eyes to see what's going on around you and your loved ones. That's what it's really all about. But I also did a blog a while back, and it was called Assign, Assign, ASSIGN. Assign. If you're someone who does get and raise their hand, knows you get spirit calling cards from heaven or wherever you believe they are, or if you don't, do this, which is really cool. Just tonight, tomorrow night, it doesn't matter. Just before you go to bed, close your eyes, just take a couple of deep breaths in, and just envision whoever you want the sign from. Say, let's go with mom. My mom's in spirit, so let me go with my mother. I take a couple of deep breaths in, and then I would just, with my eyes closed, would just envision a little room, a little tiny room, 2 doors. I come in one door, my mother comes in one door. I, of course, run up to her and hug her. She's gone. She was my best friend. But then I say to her, you know, Ma, I want to assign a sign that you're gonna send me, and it's gonna be a feather. It can be big feathers, it can be little feathers, it doesn't matter, just feathers. We hug. It's up to you how long you want to stay in that little room, and then you leave. I guarantee you, and that's saying something for me, right? As an attorney, I'm very, I'm pausing because there's people speaking to me in spirit for all of you or somebody. I'm very conscious about what I say. That's what legal world does, that's what attorneys do, but I guarantee you that you will start seeing feathers. And the wild thing is, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is yeah, you're just so used to this. I'm like, hold on, let me just finish my speech. It's crazy, but just remember this. If you ask for a feather, drop in your brain that what the feather needs to look like for you. You've got to get rid of that. You have to know that if you're asking your mom to send a feather, she's going to send you feathers, but in the way she can. You may be walking into the supermarket and there's a woman walking with her 6-year-old son in front of you or sort of perpendicular to you. And as you're walking into the market, the mom's first, the son is behind her, and the son's holding a feather. That's your sign. Your mother put you in that spot right at that point to see that feather. You could see something going to you're picking up Chinese food or so, and you're waiting there and you look to the right and there's a picture and it's just like it's a bird with like these beautiful feathers. And yet so many people, which saddens me, will say, it's a picture, like this is a restaurant that's been here, it's a picture, and I always say, you have to believe what you believe, but I will tell you that the more signs that you get and acknowledge, the more signs you will keep getting. And each time you get a sign, say that, let's go with the feather story, and say you walk out of your house in a week and you walk out and you see this large turkey feather that's on the ground, and you're like, oh, ma, thank you. By thanking her, you got to understand, she's right next to you, like, yes, like you got it, you got it. That's all they care about. That's the biggest objective and goal, is not only to let you know they're here, but how they do that. They don't have a voice, right? When I do readings, spirit dead people always say to me, thank you for using your voice, right? Because they don't have a voice, and that's what I do. I listen to them and I do readings, but it's not just your side of it, of how excited you are, which is beautiful, right? You get a sign from your loved one, but your mother on the other side, like, I love that you got it. It took a lot of energy to get that damn turkey to drop the feather in the sky to go right there. It took a lot, but thank you, thank you. And when you acknowledge it and you know it's her, like, thank you. I'm telling you, it just gets better and better and better. And one last thing about that, I use this analogy for clients. So say you've got you use the proverbial cardinal, right? Which is beautiful, right? And spirit uses cardinals all the time. I'm sure a lot of you know that and connect with cardinals. Say you're outside, say, let's switch to dad. Say you've lost your dad and you miss him desperately, and you know the cardinal is his sign. You go outside and a cardinal comes flying by, you like see it, and comes like really close to your head, and you're like, Dad, thank you. I know that was you. Thank you for doing that. And thank you for making that cardinal go right so close to me. That's the earthquake. I call that the earthquake. What happens is, as I just mentioned about the past, present, and future lane, when you see that cardinal, you shift no matter where you are, and for the most part, you're not in the present lane. You shift to the present lane because you got it. You saw the sign. You're aware. You're in the present. You know what just happened. You're right now in the present. And when you see that cardinal and know it's dad, you have about 30 minutes of staying in the present, whether you know it or not. Your father knows that, spirit knows that. So what they do, or what your dad would do is, okay, that was the earthquake, but whoa, like honey, there's way more tremors coming. So now you go inside, say you are outside for something, you go inside and you put the TV on, which most people do not get the tremors because they're so fixated on the earthquake with that one cardinal. But I guarantee you put the TV on and there is a commercial for the sports team Cardinals, or there's a commercial with a cardinal. It will just, in that 30 minutes, your dad's gonna be throwing cardinals at you. And I realized that I heard that from spirit one day and I'm like, does that really work? And I remember I was outside and after my mom died, geese, every time I get geese or see geese, especially they're flying over, and you can hear them squawking, I know it's my mom, right? So I was outside, I was watering the garden, and like this, like crew of geese flew right over the house, and I'm like, Ma, and I loved it, I absolutely loved it. And I was thinking about, okay, so if that's the earthquake, let me be very aware of the tremors. So I went inside, probably why I used the analogy about TV. I went inside to get something to drink. I was going back outside and I did put the TV on. No, I was gonna eat a sandwich. And what's that show? Raymond. Everybody loves Raymond was on, right? And the episode is, and I don't remember it verbatim, but the episode he's talking to his wife and she says something to him and he was like, what do I look like, a goose? Like what am I a flock of geese? And I looked and I'm like, this works, like this is a tremor. This is not just the earthquake, this is a tremor. Then I went upstairs, same thing. I don't think Felix was home or not, and I put the TV on upstairs. And yet again, there was another commercial. I don't even remember what it was, but I know on the bottle was a goose or a flock of geese. And I'm like, oh my God, because I'm in the present. Spirit and your dead ones that you love, know you're in the present. So that's what they want to do. They want to say, right now, you are so aware of these signs, let's throw more, but be aware. But most people get, and rightfully so, right? Most people, if you have a condo that almost hits you in the head, like you're fixated on that. I gotta tell my mother, I mean, my brother, I gotta tell my wife, my girlfriend, whatever. It's just the way it is. So I share that, so if you do get a sign, just be very well aware that really close, just like an earthquake, you're gonna get tremors. That's how this works. In spirit, as I mentioned before, their number one goal is, how do I get my daughter, my husband, my son, a sign that they will see? And it's never about who you are. I don't get any more signs than any one of you. Not one. I get the same amount of signs of all of you. The difference with me is I have the skill of seeing them. That's all it is. When you see a license plate, that's your mom's birthday numbers or whatever the case may be. My grandma Rose is 333. I never met her, never met this woman in my life, but she is someone that is with me all the time. Thank God, I needed her. But 333s come everywhere for me. So again, a sign, that's what you can do. So that's what this is all about. Any questions? I know, I feel like I just didn't shut up. I'm just, I hope it was interesting though.
Once we have our sign, and I do believe there's signs everywhere. I see signs everywhere. I feel so lucky for that. And then the tremor follows, which also happens all the time. What do we do with it after that? Like I start talking to the spirit. I don't. Is there an action?
Talking to spirit is an action. But honestly, just the acknowledgement or the validation that it was whomever you think it was, goes just, it's like shoots shockwaves through spirit, because again, say it was, did you say mom? Did you say who it was?
It could be anybody.
All right, so whoever it is.
Yeah.
Anyone who's connected to her, let's just say it was a grandmother. So grandfather, grandmother's mom, your great grandmother, they all feel that shockwave goes through in all of spirit, which also sort of like gives them the information or maybe the motive to say, oh my God, like she's one that's getting it. So let me add something when she's in that realm. That's what it's all about. So, the spirit, dead people tell me all the time they love when we wake up in the morning and say good morning. Maybe not even verbally, but just mentally or so.
Yeah.
But it really is, I love the question. The more you believe that it really is them, the better it gets. And people can say, yeah, I believe it, but saying it verbally or vocally is different than actually believing it in your soul, like really believing this life after death. My mom or dad, oh, by the way, dogs, cats, animals, they come through. I did a group just a couple of weeks ago and an elephant came through, like an elephant. And when I heard the elephant and saw the trunk, which was a first for me, I thought, okay, and it was, right, Elix was there, it was a bigger group than this. I'm like, oh, there's no way in hell I'm saying it. Who's connected to an elephant? Like a live elephant. No way. But this elephant kept pushing me. So I did. And this woman raises her hand. She works at a zoo. And one of the elephants just died. And I said, the elephant keeps saying the E name. Like, I keep getting an E. She's like, Emma is the elephant, the boy elephant that died. Emma was his girlfriend. So the elephant was giving a validation to Emma. That's how it is. It's not just about people, it's about animals. What are you gonna ask? Yes.
I don't necessarily have a sign I was signed, but I talk to my loved one every night through the stars, and I swear I've seen him at times, I've heard him at times. And I'm wondering, do you have to have a sign to be connected?
Yes. No, of course. I love that. And I'm even looking at you, you get it. Like the way you're describing it to me, like the way you have this set up with your loved ones in spirit, you get it. So do you. Like you understand it, you get it. So no, there doesn't have to be a sign. I think a lot of people like signs because it's something that is external. It's because
Well, I talk to him through the stars every night, which is a long story, but anyway.
I love that. But to answer your question, no, you don't have to have a sign at all.
Okay.
And listen, maybe sometimes they'll automatically just decide, like, now that you just said that to me, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody in spirit, whoever it is, it was like, I think it's time for a sign. And you may be just somehow realizing what sign it is. So that's what it's about.
I have a question unrelated to signs. It might be a little difficult to answer, so you do not have to, but I'm wondering about the science behind the location of the spirit. So for instance, my father passed when I was 15. At times he's with me, I see signs, but my mother, who's elsewhere here on earth, she may see signs at the same time or near and there around the same time. So how does that work with the spirit being in multiple places at once?
I was just waiting for someone else to answer it because that's a difficult question.
Yeah,
It
right.
is, but I love that question. It's, maybe I can explain it this way. When I started figuring out I was a medium, and Felix and I would go to a restaurant. And the waiter, whoever it was, the staff person that was taking care of us, I would hear, after they introduced themselves, let's say it's a she. I'm your service mom. Tell her. Oh God, so, and then I would like start talking to her and like the way I wanted to give the info or so. And for just on a side note, at the beginning stages, Elix would be very respectful and like because I started chatting with the server and he wouldn't eat, like he'd wait for me. That so left. And I start like reading someone at a table, but to answer your question, he eats. We walked out one day and I said to Elix, how did this mother know I was there? Like, where does she come from? Like, do I have like a satellite on the top of my head? And it's so interesting you asked that question because it's such a difficult question to answer, but they're just here. They're just around. They're here. Like, I've done readings that someone from the Civil War has come through. And the only reason why they do that is because the person was doing like Ancestry.com. It's difficult to have someone come through in the Civil War that I don't have any way to validate it, because this person was doing doing Ancestry.com. I said to her, "Who's William?" And she had just found this relative or so. It's hard. It really is hard to figure out how and where they are. All I can tell you is that they're just here with us. It's like, if you, before you go to bed tonight, decide, I wanna just have a quick conversation with my dad. Like, even before the thought is done, your dad's next to you. He's there anyway. He's always with you, probably somewhere outside of the house doing something. I'm only bringing that up because now your father's here, like your father's standing next to you, and loves Kim. He didn't know you, right?
No.
No, he just said he loves this. Are you married? Yeah, loves. Are there two kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, so your dad's just giving me all this info, and your father just said, I'm with my baby all the time, and I'm always around the house. Oh, he works with you or goes with you. When you go, whatever you do, like work-wise or in the yard or so, your dad is always with him. But your dad watches the perimeter of the house. Paul? Who's Paul? Paul?
This is his brother, my uncle Paul.
Is he in spirit? So Uncle Paul is stepping forward. He's like, "Hey." So, but your father, which is,
My name's Jessica.
I was gonna say it's a G or a J. In any case, just your dad is giving that as a validation that he's always with you, as well as Uncle Paul. That man is extremely emotional, your father, very, very emotional. Jessica, you're guarded. Oh, boy, your father just said, look at my daughter's energy. And when I try to get in, I can see, like, to get to your heart, it takes a while to get to your heart, but you've done so much work. You've gotten so much better of doing that. And your dad just said, your father said he made you ask that question, Jessica. I know you think he did. Your father was like, no, because this is the way I get to speak to my daughter. But your father also just said, honey, you need to know that and I'm sure it's not like you walk around every day thinking about your garden or so, and so much of it comes from losing your dad. When that happened, because when I lost my dad, I feel the same. That's your dad, that's your guy, right? But your father said, but honey, if you're guarded, okay, you're very discreet on who comes in and when they come in, but the love you've got doesn't get out. It works both ways. And he keeps saying, like, in people, you've got a lot of energy. People can feel your energy, Jessica, and whether you know it or not, your kids and your husband, like, if something's going on with you, even if you don't tell them, people can feel it. They may not know how to like pinpoint it, like, I'm feeling something, but you've got very, very big energy. And your dad said, honey, I am so proud of you that you've done so much work to where you are right now. But just be aware that you've got all this love. I love your father. He's very humorous too. He's very funny. That he wants you to let it out. But that man, and I don't know if you need a medium to say this, he didn't want to go. Something went fast or unexpected. He died. He's snapping fingers. So he went really quick. So it's just a great way. Why is he bringing up the ring?
Ring?
Yeah. Did you change? You didn't change your wedding ring?
No.
Didn't alter it, didn't add to it?
Yeah, in the beginning a little bit.
I knew it was coming, Jessica. So at the beginning, you changed or shifted something.
Yes, we did, that's right. I didn't like the one you got me.
Did I not just tell you your dad is funny? And by the way, what is your name? Steve, I love that.
right?
I should have known that. But you said PH? I'm V, but I still love you. Steve. But Jessica, that's your dad with the humor, wanting to bring that up and knowing that if they can see the future, they can see what's gonna happen with you two and every one of you, all your loved ones. When you leave here, they know exactly where you're going to lunch, you're going home, they know everything, they can see a minute in the future, 10 minutes, 10 years. So your dad knows that something that was gonna come out of your mouth was, yeah, I don't like it at the beginning, so. But I love Steve, I love her dad, because he said, that she was right, just saying, she was right. Whatever you did or didn't like, so, but I know, I'm sure it's beautiful now, so that's what it's all about. And Jessica and Steve, it's a great way, and Uncle Paul, just letting you know that they're here with you. And and by the way, there's a little animal, that's a dog or a cat, that just keeps running back and forth here. Ella.
A dog.
You're not supposed to tell me. We bonded with our name. I'm a medium, right? That's what I'm supposed to tell you, right? Ella, let me just say. I don't know, I'm sure it's Ella, but I keep getting a big boy. You can grow up with like a lab or retriever or something? Yes. In spirit now? Yes. Yeah, because it's like, I know it's big, but he or she is sitting on the chair and you go nowhere. Was this like a family dog or was this? Yeah, like your family?
No.
Oh, this is before Steve,
Yeah.
before you guys were together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know there's also no essence of time, so just keep in mind that even though this could be whatever many years ago, this dog is here with you, and just like your dad, the dog's always with you at work, like always, or just around you or wherever you're going, and I just keep feeling like I'm in a truck. But let me ask you, I gotta ask people here, Jessica and Steve, thank you for letting me do that. The boy, the young male is here. There's a young male that keeps running back and forth through these roads. Who lost a son? There's a son here that just keeps going back and forth and back and forth. Somebody's connected to a son here. I'm asking Jessica, so I can figure this out. What is your first name? MB? Pretty name, MB. You lost a son? This is dad or, why does he say three? Do you have other kids?
Just one.
One other child, why did you
The
just,
three, he had a brain tumor.
what was that?
He had a brain tumor.
Oh, at 3 years old. Oh, that's why he's giving me the three. So, oh my God,
But he lived to 35.
and just when they come through as a young male, and I love Jessica asking like age-wise, it takes me a little bit to figure out is because miscarriages come through sometimes. And what is your first name? Michael. So your son, your son said, just like your father, your son said he was making sure you people were here to make sure that he got to do this. And so you have another child, you said. I love your son too. He's so excited he gets to, but he's speaking so fast. I'm like, whoa, slow down. Your son is very unique because before I even get to you and say what he's gonna say to you, he just looked at me and was like, you got a good crowd. I'm like, yeah, thanks. But you just said, I didn't expect to go when I went. I didn't, I thought I was here, I thought I was staying, I thought I was in the physical world. And when they do this to me in turn, it's also a very unexpected or very fast crossing. Because it feels like it's a very, very. Wait, John? Who's, it may not be him, who's the, unless, is his first or middle name from dad or grandfather? Oh, that's what it is. It's Junior, he's saying. It doesn't mean like a.
His name was, his first name was not Thomas Brennan. It was a big thing because he had 4 names. And we called him by a second name. And the first name was both his grandfathers.
Oh, that's why I'm getting the junior. Doesn't mean it's like legitimately a junior like would be, but it just means like the name, and it also means that the grandfathers, so these are your dads, are both stepping forward, or moms too, both moms are here. Both moms are also, now this is gonna take long, I need to sit, no, I'm kidding. You got a lot to say, but your mom, one of the moms just said, please, listen, I know it's your son, but your mother just said, my daughter thinks of him every single day. I gotta pull myself back because I'm starting to feel all the emotions of you guys, of your son, because he's emotional, because he's so excited he gets to do this. But he keeps every day, when I gave that example, he said, Mom and Dad, this is what I do every day. I'm like this, I'm here, I'm still here, and we're all gonna be reunited at some point. But he also has a very good sense of humor. He's smart too, and he's smart.
IQ of 150.
I knew he was very, very smart, but he just said, we're all gonna be reunited, but he's very, very close, or very quick to say, but not yet. You two have other stuff to do. Like you ain't leaving right now. But you're was a question mark with him, a question mark of his health. There wasn't something that at some point someone questioned, like either how did it not get found, or like, look, or how did this when he keeps throwing a question mark, does it make sense? So I don't even need details. He's just saying that to say, like, Mom, Dad, it's me. It's really me. By the way, who's Ann? Angela, there's an A-N, Anthony, there's an A-N name that he keeps giving as a validation. If it doesn't come, just keep it with you. Again, it's with your mom's middle name, but there's an A. It feels like Ann, A-N name. That's what I keep feeling. Ann, just make sure you hang on to it if it doesn't come. But this is.
We had dinner with an Ann last night.
Oh, that's right. For hearing that with me, that's the tremor, that's the tremor. Honestly, that's.
No, she wasn't close with him. She
Because-
just asked about it. She didn't say something.
So you know how this works? He was like, Mom and Dad, I brought up Ann, that I was at that dinner with you two. I was sitting with you, I was hugging you, I was loving you. I do this every day, but I don't miss any of your lives. I'm with you every step of the way. I'm with you, and this is what this is all about, saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. And you have to stand up for a moment. I'm sorry. He just said, do this to my mom. Not me hugging. This is your boy, this is your son. That's what this is all about. So I think, yeah, I think I'm sorry, I'm over.
The question I have is, the distraction that you felt like a half hour ago when you were giving your talk. Was that distraction either of those?
Oh, I can tell you right now, it was both. Your father is out of control, Jessica. It's like, can I tell you something about my daughter? And I'm like, well, I'm gonna speak. And your son was the same thing, running back and forth and back and forth. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna put both of you in the corner. Your father does not listen to anybody. Your dad, and I love that, right? And your son also, but that, yes, so to answer the question, yes.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
We're talking about age, young boy that came through. So your 3-year-old, how do they not maintain the mindset of a 3-year-old versus having the intellectual? Like, how does do they grow with age too on the other side?
They do.
Just made me think of that.
No, it's a beautiful question. I love the question, because they do, but in a different way. Not like in the physical way that we know of growing.
So they don't say the age when they pass.
They don't have to, but usually they will present themselves that age because they know that that's how someone's gonna get the validation, right? Like it's a young boy or so, but they'll show me that's why when Jessica asked what age, I was having trouble for a second figuring it out because he kept showing me as a little boy, that's why he started with 3.
He died when he was 35.
Exactly, and that's why I asked about 3, because he had a brain tumor when he was 3, but he kept showing me all these different ages, and I'm like, what was this more than one guy or boy? And then I realized it was because he grew, that was at 3 years old, but he died at 30-something years old. So that's how it works. It's hard sometimes to answer the questions, it really is, so.
I don't know if this is gonna take you a long time. What happens if the spirit moves on? I had a sister that passed away at a young age, and I've gone to other mediums, and she has been born again and died again. Like, what happens with that? What happens with the second?
Well, you know what is your first name?
Elizabeth?
Elizabeth, thank you for the question. I would say this, in very respectful as I can possibly say. If any of you ever go to a medium and they say, or a psychic, it says that someone's moved on, they're not here, get your money and run as fast as you can. That is so not true. And I love the question though, because how I was told and how I do this is that just think of a tree. Every one of us has a tree, and that for us, if all of you were standing next to me, we're all the base of the tree, right? And as you go up the tree, there's all these branches, and the higher you go with the branches, you've got like your great grandparents, the closer branches, mom or dad, people that are in spirit, that is, aunts and uncles and all of that. So when someone gets reincarnated, so let me just use me because it's easier. Say my mom died in 2020. So now it's what, 6 years. So say I get like some notification, information, whatever, that she's been reincarnated. So she's here now. She's in a different body or so. I mean, I'm not saying that's the case, but say, let's go with that. The tree that I just talked about and that branch, say it's my branch, I'm the base of it, and the branch closest to me at my head is gonna be my mom, right? My mom and my dad, right? Because they're my closest. My mom will never leave that branch. The version I knew here in spirit, she will never leave, even though she may be reincarnated. That's because if you think about it, maybe that's heaven calling.
My son had a past life.
Well, exactly, well, that's the whole point of this, right? I do past life readings too.
He told me about.
Absolutely, but and I love that you said that, to answer the question that our loved ones never, ever leave. There is no such thing as they leave, and I'll just tell you quickly, the 3 of us, me, Elix, and one of my best friends, we went up to Boston before this mediumship stuff came into me, and we were going for past life readings, and all separately, all 3 of us had our own 45-minute reading, and we walked out, we went to dinner, and each one of us got to tell the other 2 what the past life reading was. And my best friend said to the 2 of us, at the end, she asked if you had questions, and I'm like, yes. He said yes, and she said, I said, did you ask a question? He said, I asked if my mom was here. Oh no, she reincarnated, she's no longer here. And thank God, as someone who was like stepping into this mediumship stuff, and plus I knew, I'm like, you know that's not true, right? And he was like, no, I know it's not true. Do you know, if I was a cartoon, I think smoke would have come out of my head. I was so upset. I emailed her. And like, a nice professional email, and do you know she responded to me? I'm like, I need for you to explain what you did to my best friend, because if he was by himself and his mother was everything like my mom was to me, he'd walk out of there distraught. He'd be like, my mother's not here anymore. Like, that is so not right to do. So the answer, I hope in a long-winded way, I answered the question. So that's what it's all about. So
Okay, thank you.
one more, because I gotta go. No, quite, I'm kidding.
Can mediums read people who've been cremated, or hear people that have been cremated?
Oh God, yeah, in readings, they will tell me all the time whether they're buried, whether they're cremated, because they love bringing up the ashes, especially when families are arguing about ashes, like, this one wants to throw them out, like in the ocean. No, we gotta keep them, no, separate them. They love bringing them up because it's a conversation, and it's a validation that someone I'm reading will be like, oh, that's my mother. Like, that's her, or my dad, or whoever it is. So yes, so absolutely, so.
Oh, you want to take care of?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just one more question. For choosing a medium, I went to one before and I knew she wasn't good, like you said. And in fact, when I was leaving, my grandma was talking to me the whole way home.
telling me not to listen to her at all, you know what I mean? So how do you know how to choose a good one or whatever?
You got me. No, it's a great question, and
And I read a lot of reviews, I did all of that, before I went there and all that, but I was shocked afterwards when I left.
It's like, I think it's like anything else, to be honest. I think like in any profession, even say you're looking for a plumber, you read reviews, and you may have like a bad experience with a plumber. You do your due diligence as much as you can, and you try to figure out if you can get, people that have been to this particular person, or nowadays with AI, it's not easy even looking up on websites or so, because you don't know if something's made up or so, but I think there's still legitimate things. You have to go with your gut too. I love that your grandmothers were like,
Oh,
yeah.
my grandma's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
your
oh,
grandmothers were like,
they wouldn't stop talking to me.
you just have to do your best to try to figure it out, because there are really, really great mediums out there, clearly. So you just have to.
Because sometimes it says, like, if you're a Christian and believe in God, not to entertain that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean.
In the Bible, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it, I'm not listen, I grew up Catholic, right, I went 12 years of Catholic school. I don't really connect with any denomination, for me anyway, but I'm spiritual, right, that's what it's all about for me, so I just love people, it's up to you and how you feel, and whether you wanna go for a reading or not, but just do as much as you can with sort of investigating the medium or the psychic to figure it out. But sometimes I gotta be honest, it's sort of like a luck of the draw sometimes, it's like, you
You don't know,
you look and then you do it and you figure it out, so.
Well, that was many years ago,